noticed it last Sunday while looking for the remote. Your name didn't come up once the entire day. Not in conversation, not in thought, not even accidentally. And somehow that scared me more than missing you. For a long time you leave regular in the coffee mugs, the grocery store aisles, the songs on the radio beside the bed. You occupied so much space without being here. Then little by little, without asking permission, life kept you invade. Your name left the house first, before the photographs, before the memories softened, before the ache faded. Your name left the house first, and I didn't even notice until I tried to say, and it felt unfamiliar. The funny thing is, I can still picture your face, still remember your laugh, still know how you took your coffee. But the details feel farther away now, like they're just someone else's life instead of mine. The plant you bought finally died last month. I stood there holding the empty pot longer than I should have. Not because of the plant, because it was the last thing in this apartment that still belonged to us. Nobody tells you how quietly people leave, even after they're gone. Your name left the house first, then the routines followed, then the habits, then the future we imagined. One by one, like lights shutting off in different rooms. I used to think healing would feel dramatic, a breakthrough, a revelation. Instead, it feels like forgetting why you walked into a room and realizing it doesn't matter anymore. Your name left the house first, and maybe that's okay. Maybe that's what healing looks like. Not erasing someone, not replacing someone, just making enough space for tomorrow to move in. Your name left the house first, but tonight, for the first time, that doesn't feel like a loss. walked past our old photograph this morning and smiled, not because I wanted you back, just because we happened. And somehow that was enough.
There's a small diner off Route 8, open 24 hours. I started going there after midnight a few months ago. Not because the food is good, it isn't, but nobody asks questions there, and sometimes that's enough. I always sit at the same table, near the window, the one with 4 chairs, even though it's just me. The waitress offered a smaller table once. I told her I liked the view. The truth was, I wasn't ready to make the empty seat official. Funny what we get used to when nobody's looking. The chair across from me knows all my secrets, every meal, every restless night, every conversation I rehearse but never have. The chair across from me has become part of my life, and I hate that. Last Friday, a couple sat there by mistake before I arrived, laughing over cold coffee, sharing fries, arguing about directions, the kind of ordinary moment nobody appreciates until it's gone. I almost left, not because I was angry, not because they did anything wrong. I just wasn't prepared to see someone else occupy the space where my imagination lives. Nobody tells you how heavy an empty chair can become. The chair across from me still waits every evening, patient as ever, silent as stone, holding a place for someone who isn't coming, holding a place for a version of me that doesn't exist anymore. I used to think loneliness was a feeling. Now I think it's a habit, something that settles into your routines quietly until you stop noticing. The chair across from me has watched the seasons change, watched my hair grow longer, watched the years pass, watched me pretend I'm doing better than I am. The chair across from me has been there so long, sometimes I forget it was meant for someone else. Tonight, the waitress asked, is anyone joining you? For the first time in years, I didn't look at the empty seat before answering no, and somehow that felt like progress.
There's a light in my apartment, 30-door-2. It comes on every night around 2:30. I see it from my window when sleep refuses to stay. Whoever lives up there keeps the same hours as my regrets. Some nights I wonder if they're staring back at mine. The grocery list on my fridge still has your handwriting on it. Don't forget the oranges, I forgot the oranges, but somehow I never forgot you. Funny how memory works, the world keeps asking me to move forward. Like there's a map for this, like there's an exit sign for missing someone. So I leave the television on, not because I'm watching, just because silence knows too much about me. And I walk these rooms at midnight like I'm searching for something not packed its bags a long time ago. The coffee shop down the street finally stopped asking where you've been. I guess even strangers get tired of waiting. The woman behind the counter just slides my cup across now. No questions, no hopeful smile, just routine. Yesterday I found your umbrella behind your room door. It hasn't rained in months, but I couldn't throw it away. It felt too much like goodbye. They're already said that word more times than I wanted to. Everyone talks about healing like it arrives one morning quietly, like a package at your front door. Some nights I still reach for my phone before remembering there's nobody left to call who would understand. Some nights I still leave the light on in the hallway for reasons I can't explain, even stare at myself. Maybe letting go isn't one decision. Maybe it's 1,000 tiny ones. The empty chair, the forgotten umbrella, the untouched side of the bed, the number you stopped memorizing, one piece at a time. The light in apartment 32 is still glowing tonight, and doesn't make me sad.
I saw your birthday pop up yesterday, a reminder from an app that somehow remembers people better than people do. For a second, my thumb hovered over your name like it used to, back when calling didn't require courage. There wasn't a fight, no dramatic ending, no slammed doors, no final words, just fewer messages, longer silences, different lives into one day. There was nothing left to continue, and maybe that's why it still feels unfinished. We never had a last conversation, no final goodbye, no moment where we knew this was the end. We just slowly became strangers with shared memories, and somehow that hurts more than a broken heart. Remember that summer when we thought we'd never leave this town? We had maps on the dashboard and gas money in our pockets, convinced the world was waiting for us to arrive. Funny how certain versions of ourselves disappear too. I drove past the basketball court today. The lights were still on, kids running the same drills we used to practice until midnight, back when time felt endless and responsibilities felt imaginary. I wonder if you ever think about it, or if it's just me carrying the archives. We never had a last conversation, no closing chapter, no explanation, no reason to blame, just years stacked quietly between who we were and who we became. Maybe friendship doesn't always break, maybe sometimes it just fades like old paint on a familiar wall. Still, they're just harder to see every year. The nights we thought would last forever, I'd say thank you for being part of my story, even if you aren't in the ending. Your birthday reminder is still on my screen. I haven't decided whether to send a message. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but for a few minutes today, you were here again, and that felt nice. I was halfway through my morning coffee when it hit me. The last time we laughed together was the last time, and neither of us knew it. There wasn't music playing, no dramatic goodbye, no sign hanging in the sky saying, pay attention. That's what bothers me most, not the ending, the ordinary nature of it. The fact that life-changing moments rarely look important while they're happening. They just look like Tuesdays. And by the time you realize what you've lost, the door is already closed. The last time was the last time, and I didn't know. I would've stayed a little longer, listened a little harder, paid more attention to the things I thought would always be there. The last time was the last time, and it looked exactly like every other day. I can't remember what I was wearing, can't remember what song was playing, can't remember the weather, but I remember the feeling of assuming there would be another chance, another conversation, another afternoon. Maybe that's why we miss people, not because they left, because we never got the chance to appreciate the final moment for what it was. A chapter ending without announcing itself. Nobody gets a warning, nobody gets a countdown. The last time was the last time, and somewhere in my memory it's still happening. A frozen moment, completely unaware of what comes next. The last time was the last time, and somehow it feels both heartbreaking and beautiful. The last family dinner, the last childhood summer, the last drive with an old friend, the last hug, the last phone call, the last joke, the last ordinary moment that quietly became history. The last time was the last time, maybe that's why small moments matter more than we realize. Because one day, without permission, without warning, without ceremony, they become memories. The last time was the last time, and if I could go back, I wouldn't change anything. I'd just pay attention somewhere right now. Someone is living a moment they spend years missing, and they don't know it yet, just like we didn't. Just like we didn't. Got a new phone last winter, everything transferred over. Photos, contacts, messages, like nothing that changed. But somehow I still remember your number, without looking, without trying, like my hands learned it before my heart knew better. different, but I still knew exactly which window was yours. It's strange how time can move everything forward, except certain memories. I don't miss who you became. I miss who we were. Back when every call felt important, every goodbye lasted too long. I don't miss the ending, I miss the middle, the ordinary days. Nobody warned me would hurt the most. The last voicemail disappeared years ago. The software update erased it. One morning it was there, the next it wasn't. And I sat staring at the screen, wondering why I felt like crying. Over 37 seconds of someone's voice. My friends say you're nameless now, like they're protecting me, like silence is somehow gentler than remembering. But forgetting isn't kindness. Sometimes forgetting feels worse, because some people believe in taking tired versions of ourselves with them. I don't miss who you became. I miss who we were. The late night conversations, the impossible plans, the way we thought we had more time than we actually did. Yesterday I almost called, not because I wanted you back, not because I expected an answer. I just wanted to know if your voice still sounded like home. Maybe healing isn't forgetting, maybe it never was. Maybe it's carrying the memory without letting it carry you. Maybe one day your number will just be numbers. Your street will just be the street. Your name will just be a name. Tonight I'm not there yet. The funny thing is, I could still dial it right now without thinking. Some memories leave quietly, others learn how to stay. Everything transferred over, photos, contact messages, like nothing had changed. But somehow I still remember your number, without looking, without trying, like my hands learned it before my heart knew better. I passed your street last Tuesday, not on purpose. At least that's what I told myself. The bakery on the corner is gone now. The blue house got repainted. Even the trees look different, but I still know exactly which window was yours. It's strange how time can move everything forward, except certain memories. I don't miss who you became. I miss who too long. I don't miss the ending, but I miss the middle, the ordinary days. Nobody warned me would hurt the most. The last voicemail disappeared years ago. A software update erased it. One morning it was there, the next it wasn't. And I sit staring at the screen, wondering why I felt like crying. Over 37 seconds into someone's voice. My friends say someone's voice. My friends say your name last now. My friends say got someone's voice. My friends say, my friends say, my friends say, I don't miss who you became. I miss who we are. Back when every call felt important and every goodbye lasted too long. I miss the ending. I miss the ordinary moment the most, would hurt the most. There's a faster route now. The city built a new highway a couple of years ago. Cuts 20 minutes off the drive. Everyone takes it. I don't. Instead, I pass the old gas station, the one where your car broke down. We spent 3 hours there, eating stale chips and making fun of country songs. The station closed last winter. The sign is still standing. Nobody fixed it. There's a traffic light that stays red forever. You used to complain about it every single time. Now I sit there alone and somehow I hear your voice anyway. I still take the long way home, not because I need to, not because I enjoy traffic. I think part of me is afraid of arriving, because every mile gives me one more minute before I have to admit you're really gone. Last week, someone painted the coffee shop different color, different owner, different menu. I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes trying to remember what used to be there. That's the thing nobody tells you. Places leave too, not just people. One day your favorite restaurant closes. Your childhood house belongs to strangers. The movie theater becomes a gym, and suddenly there's nowhere left for your memories to live. So I still take the long way home, past the places that don't exist anymore, past the version of me that thought everything would stay the same, past old stories and closed doors and empty parking lots, like I'm conducting a tour for a ghost. A few nights ago I got lost, actually lost. Wrong turn, wrong exit, wrong road. And for a second I laughed, 'cause that's exactly what would have happened if you were still here. I still take the long way home. Maybe I always will. Maybe one day the roads won't hurt anymore. Maybe one day they'll just be roads. Tonight they still feel like chapters, and every turn still remembers your name. The faster route is probably easier, but the long way knows our story. My mother asked me to fix the clock again, the same clock I fixed 3 times already. She laughed and said, I guess I'm forgetting things these days, like it was a joke, but something about it stayed with me. My father walks a little slower now, not enough for strangers to notice, only enough for someone who remembers when he carried me on his shoulders, without effort, without thinking. Nobody warns you about these moments. They arrive quietly and sit beside you. The drive home felt shorter tonight, maybe because I spent most of it thinking about time and how it never asked permission. The drive home felt shorter tonight, and for the first time I wish the road would take a little longer. The kitchen table looks smaller than it did growing up, or maybe I've just changed. The scratches are still there, the ones we made years ago by accident, back when forever seemed real. There's a photograph in the hallway, everyone's smiling, nobody has gray hair, nobody checks medicine labels, nobody talks about appointments. The picture hasn't changed, but somehow everything else has. I used to think getting older was my story, turns out it belongs to everyone. The drive home felt shorter tonight, past the gas stations, past the empty fields, past the places I used to know, and somewhere between the miles I realized nothing stays the same, not even the people who taught me how to drive. One day the house will belong to someone else. The clock will stop ticking, the driveway will be empty, and all these ordinary moments will become the things I miss most. Not birthdays, not holidays, just Tuesday evenings and familiar voices from the next room. The drive home felt shorter tonight, and I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to notice the years collecting around us like dust on old furniture. I wanted one more summer, one more family dinner, one more reason to believe time was waiting. But the road kept moving, and so did we. I called my mother when I got home, just to tell her I made it safely. She said, I know, and asked me if I'd visit next weekend. I said yes, before she finished asking, and somehow that felt important. This morning I caught my reflection in the window of a coffee shop. For a second I thought it was someone else. The tired eyes, the careful smile, the way they look like they were carrying something heavy without saying it. I remember who I used to be, the version that laughed too loud, took the long way home, spent money on things I didn't need, believed every plan would work out, believed every goodbye would come with a second chance. Somewhere between then and now, life started writing over me. The person in the mirror knows too much, too many mistakes, too many endings, too many nights spent wondering if things would have been different if I'd chosen another road. The person in the mirror knows too much, and sometimes I miss who they used to be. There's a jacket in my closet I haven't worn in years, not because I don't like it, because it belongs to another version of me. The one who thought life would happen later, the one who didn't know how quickly later arrives. I still keep old notebooks filled with plans, cities I wanted to visit, businesses I wanted to start, dreams written in messy handwriting, like ambition alone could make them real. Funny how time changes people without asking permission. The person in the mirror knows too much. They know what failure sounds like, they know what silence feels like, they know what it means to lose something important and keep going anyway. The person in the mirror knows too much, but they're still standing. Maybe growing older isn't becoming someone new. Maybe it's learning how to carry every version of yourself at the same time. The hopeful one, the broken one, the brave one, the scared one, all of them still here. The person in the mirror knows too much, but maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe every scar, every wrong turn, every unfinished dream built the person looking back. Maybe the goal was never to stay the same. Maybe the goal was simply to survive and become someone worth recognizing. I looked at my reflection again before leaving, and for the first time in a while I didn't look away. I just nodded, like two old friends who finally understood each other. reminded me today that 3 years ago I was standing on a beach somewhere, smiling at a camera. The notification called it a memory worth revisiting. But what caught me off guard wasn't the picture, it was the person in it. Back then I photographed everything: coffee cups, sunsets, street signs, friends laughing across tables. I was terrified of forgetting a moment, so I tried to save them all. Now my camera roll feels quieter than it used to. Somewhere along the way I stopped taking pictures, stopped trying to freeze time, stopped believing memories needed proof to survive. Somewhere along the way I started living in moments instead of collecting them, and I still don't know if that's growing up or giving up. Last month the sky turned orange after a storm, the kind of sunset people post online, the kind that makes strangers stop walking. And for a second my hand reached for my phone, then dropped back to my side. Not because it wasn't beautiful, because it was maybe the most beautiful thing I'd seen all year. I just wanted one thing: to belong only to me, not an audience, not an algorithm, not a screen, just me. Maybe not everything needs to become a memory before it's even over. Somewhere along the way I stopped taking pictures, stopped counting moments like they were running out, stopped needing evidence that I was happy, and started noticing that happiness usually arrives when nobody's looking. There's a concert ticket inside my wallet from a night I'll never forget, and there's no photograph of it. Not one, just the memory, getting older, not real, yet somehow still alive. Stop taking pictures, and maybe that's okay. Maybe some sunsets were never meant for social media. Maybe some conversations were never meant to be recorded. Maybe some chapters only need to be lived. Maybe some things become more valuable when they're impossible to replay. Tonight the moon looked incredible over the highway. I thought about taking a photo instead. I kept driving and watched it disappear with my own eyes.
My phone rang tonight at 10:43 for a second. My heart forgot what year it was, forgot how things work now, forgot that most conversations start with notifications, not It was the pharmacy, an automated reminder. Nothing important, nothing personal, just a recorded voice reading from a script. And somehow that made it worse, 'cause there was a time when a late night call meant something. Nobody calls after 10 p.m. anymore, not to share good news, not to ask for directions, not because they miss your voice. Nobody calls after 10 p.m. anymore, and I didn't realize how much I missed that until tonight. Remember when we talked for hours, not because we had something to say, because hanging up felt wrong. We'd sit in silence, listening to each other breathe, and somehow they counted as conversation. Now everyone sends messages, tiny pieces of themselves, delivered instantly, read instantly, forgotten instantly. And maybe that's efficient, but efficiency has never felt like connection. Some things got easier and somehow harder at the same time. Nobody calls after 10 p.m. anymore. The world got quieter in all the wrong places. We've never been more connected and never fed further apart. Nobody calls after 10 p.m. anymore. And tonight, that feels important. Maybe somewhere someone is staring at my name, the same way I'm staring at theirs, wondering if it's too late, wondering if it'd be weird, wondering if they should call, and deciding not to. Nobody calls after 10 p.m. anymore, not the old friends, not the people we love, not the people we almost love. The phone stays silent, the room stays quiet, and the night keeps moving like nothing changed. Something did. Nobody calls after 10 p.m. anymore, and maybe that's why I still notice every time it rings. 10:58 p.m. The screen is dark again. The room is quiet, and somewhere a conversation never happened. I walked past the old bookstore today, the one where we hid from the rain. The sign is different now, the windows are brighter. Someone else owns it, someone else unlocks the door every morning. And somehow that
feels like a metaphor. I wonder if you ever mention me, not in a sad way, not in a longing way, just casually, like someone talking about a city they used to live in, a place they once knew well, but don't visit anymore. That's the strange thing about time, it keeps moving, even when memories don't. I'm probably a story now, a chapter you tell differently, depending on who's listening, a name that comes up unexpectedly, then disappears again. I'm probably a story now, not the ending, not the beginning, just a few pages somewhere in the middle. Maybe you remember the road trip when we got lost for 3 hours, 'cause neither of us wanted to admit we were wrong. Maybe you remember laughing until we couldn't breathe, or maybe you don't. Maybe that memory belongs to me now. I used to think memories stayed identical for everyone involved, but they don't. They're shaped by distance, by years, by who we become afterward. Two people can live the same moment and carry away different stories. Maybe that's why goodbyes never feel complete. I'm probably a story now, told over dinner somewhere on, remembered in traffic or forgotten completely, until a song comes on and suddenly there I am again for a minute. Honestly, that's okay. I don't need to be the hero of anyone's story. I don't need to be unforgettable. I just hope when my name appears, it arrives with a smile instead of a sigh. I'm probably a story now, just like you are to me, a collection of moments scattered across the years, some clear, some fading, some too beautiful to disappear completely. I'm probably a story now, and maybe that's all any of us become in the end. Stories carried by other people until they carry them no more. The bookstore closed at 6. I stood outside for a while, looking through the glass at a place that remembered neither of us. And I kept walking, and somehow that felt right. The old bookstore today, the one where we hid from the rain. The sign is different now, the windows are brighter. Someone else owns it, someone else unlocks the door every morning, and somehow that feels like a metaphor. I wonder if you ever mention me, not in a sad way, not in a lonely way, just casually, like someone talking about a city they used to live in, a place they once knew well but don't visit anymore. The strange thing about time, it keeps moving, even when memories don't. I'm probably a story now, a chapter you tell different. unexpectedly and disappears again. I'm probably the story now, not the ending, not the beginning, just a few pages somewhere in the middle. Maybe you remember the road trip. We got lost for 3 hours because neither of us wanted to admit we were wrong. Maybe you remember laughing until we couldn't breathe. Or maybe you know, maybe that memory belongs to me now. I used to think memories stay identical for everyone involved, but they don't. They shape by distance, by years, by who we become afterward. Two people live the same moment and carry away different stories. Maybe that's why goodbyes never feel complete. I'm probably a story now. I'm probably a story now. Told over dinner somewhere, or remembered in traffic, or forgotten completely. Until the song comes on, suddenly there I am again for a minute. And honestly, probably a story now. Probably a story. I'm probably a story now. 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 I'm probably a story. There's an online shopping cart. I've had it open for 8 months. A lamp, 2 books, a record player I don't need, and a yellow coat I almost bought for you. I know how crazy that sounds. It's just a website, just a few items, just a forgotten tab, buried somewhere between work emails and weather forecast. But every time I see it, I leave it open. The sweater is still available, same size, same color, same photo. The model is smiling like she's never heard of regret. The card is still there, waiting for a checkout that's never happening, waiting for a version of the future that quietly expired. The card is still there, not because I forgot, because closing it feels more permanent than I expected. A few months ago, the books went out of stock, the lamp got discounted, life moved on. Algorithms adjusted, the world continued without consulting me. It's so strange, I never wanted the sweater, not really, I wanted the reason I put it there. The idea of a birthday, a surprise, a normal Tuesday where I got to make you smile. Turns out you can miss a future that never happened. The card is still there, a tiny museum for abandoned plans, proof that hope sometimes leaves fingerprints in unexpected places. The card is still there, and every now and then I'll visit it like an old neighborhood. Last night I almost deleted everything, the cursor hovering, ready one click away. But then I got distracted by a text message and forgot. Or maybe I didn't. One day the website will update, the items will go, the links will break, and I'll never know when the last chance passed. Just like so many things, the card's still there, but maybe that's okay. Not every unfinished story needs an ending. Some just need a quiet shelf to sit on. It's 1:18 a.m. The tab is still open. The sweater is still yellow into night for reasons I can't explain. That makes me smile. There's a jacket in my closet, still wearing the price tag. I bought it 3 years ago for a special occasion. A better version of me, a future version that always seemed a few months away. The notebook on my shelf is 27 blank pages. I was saving them for important ideas, for the business, for the trips, for the life I kept promising myself was coming soon. Funny thing about later, it keeps changing its address. I kept saving it for later. The good wine, the nice clothes, the difficult conversations, the dreams that scared me. I kept saving it for later, like life was waiting backstage for the right moment to finally begin. Last winter, a neighbor passed away. Kind man, apartment 5B, who always watered the plants outside his door. 1 week he was there, the next the apartment was empty. That's when I started noticing how many things I was postponing. The guitar I never learned, the places I never visited, the phone calls I never met, the stories I never started. Because somehow I thought time was being patient, but time never promised that. I just assumed. I kept saving it for later. The sunset drives, the weekend trips, the risk worth taking, the words worth saying. I kept saving it for later, until I realized later isn't a date, it's a gamble. Maybe happiness wasn't hiding in the future. Maybe it was waiting inside all the moments. And I kept walking past, on my way to somewhere else. I kept saving it for later, until one morning I opened the expensive coffee, wore the jacket, called an old friend, booked the ticket, started the project, and watched the sunset without checking the time. I kept saving it for later. Then I stopped, and somehow that's when life finally arrived. The notebook still has blank pages, but not as many. And for the first time, it feels beautiful.
last night. I woke up at 3:12, not from a nightmare, not from the sound, just one of those moments where your eyes open and the room feels unfamiliar. I reached for the blanket and found myself lying on the far edge of the bed, the same side I've been sleeping on for almost a year now, leaving space beside me for someone who doesn't live here anymore. It's ridiculous, I know that if anybody saw it, they'd probably laugh. A grown adult giving half the mattress to a memory. I still move over in my sleep, not on purpose, not because I'm hoping, just because some habits learn how to survive longer than love does. I still move over in my sleep, and every morning I wake up surprised by how much room there was. The strange part is I've changed everything else. New curtains, new couch, different coffee brand, different route to live it, different haircut, different life, but somehow my sleeping position stayed behind. A few weeks ago, a friend stayed over after a party. I offered them the bed and took the couch. The next morning they left, said, "You know you only use half your mattress, right?" I laughed too, then changed the subject. Some things are easier to explain than others. I still move over in my sleep, like my body missed the meeting where we decided to let go. Like part of me
this morning. Not because you called, not because you posted something. My phone just suggested it. People you may want to contact, as if technology had discovered something I was trying not to think about. I stared at the screen longer than I should have, long enough for my coffee to get cold, long enough to remember how easy this used to be, back when messages started with, "Are you awake?" instead of "Careful planning." So I opened the chat. The last message was mine. Of course it was a photo of a dog that looked confused. He reacted with a laughing emoji. That was 11 months ago. I rewrote the message 7 times. "Hey, how have you been?" Too formal. "Hope you're doing well." Too distant. "Just thought of you today." Too honest. I rewrote the message 7 times, trying to find a version that sounded casual while meaning everything. It's funny, there was a time when I knew exactly what you were doing, what you were watching, what you were worried about. Now I don't even know what city you're in. The typing box sat there blinking, waiting like it had all the patience in the world. Unlike me, unlike us. Nobody talks about this part, the space between strangers and friends. I rewrote the message 7 times, not because I wanted something, not because I expected anything. I just missed the version of life where reaching out didn't require courage. I rewrote the message 7 times and deleted all of them, because sometimes silence feels safer than finding out how much has changed. Maybe you've moved on, maybe you're happy, maybe you wouldn't mind hearing from me. Maybe you'd answer immediately, maybe you wouldn't answer at all. The truth is, I'll never know, because imagination is easier than certainty. I rewrote the message 7 times and locked my phone, went for a walk, watched the sunset, bought groceries, lived an entire evening. But somehow that unfinished message followed me everywhere. I rewrote the message 7 times, and maybe tomorrow thinks of me. 11:42 p.m. The chat is still open, the cursor is still blinking. And for the first time all day, I think I know what to say. It's been a while. It's been a while. I told myself an hour more, and another, and the candle found the floor. Your plate is in the oven getting cold. The wine is on the table, 4 hours old. I keep checking at the window like a fool, like the street might finally give me back to you. I aimed a dress I never got to wear, put on the perfume drifting through the air, else to say. Now I'm talking to a room that's just as empty as the day. I know we're waiting if there's someone. I watched it do it to my mother. Swore I'd never be that woman, holding candles for another. But I left the light on, stood in the dark, keeping watch. I left the light on, gave everything I had and almost lost. Not because I'm weak, not because I don't know better. I left the light on because leaving you felt like losing something greater. The neighbors probably noticed by now. The single car, the single silhouette, a woman in the window learning how to hold her breath and swallow the regret. I called your name into the answer phone, tried to make my voice sound like I'm fine. Deleted it and sat back down alone, poured the wine out, took the curtain, killed the light. There's a version of tonight where you came back, but the